just, whoop, let me get stuck there. Purl, people. Practice purling. Like I'm putting on wings or something and I'm gonna fly. It feels so good to knit this. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. Today you'll notice I'm not wearing anything knitted, and the reason I am wearing this white top is because I'm going to actually try on some things today. And it'll just be much easier than trying to do it over knitwear or take the knitted top off to put this on, etc. So I thought I'd just start out with a blank canvas, and that way I can show you everything that I'm working on and I can show you how far I've gotten and how it's starting to fit. With that, I'm going to get started, and I am going to tell you I have one thing. I would call this a half-finished object because it's not a fully finished object, being that it's only one glove. I suppose I could use it. I mean, I can, obviously. I can put it on, I can wear it, and it would keep this hand warm while I'm driving and doing other things. But I wouldn't have a pair of them. So this is, to me, a half-finished object because I need to do the other glove as well. But this is the penny glove by PetitKnit. I've already done one pair in black that I really like. I did do a pair in a kind of purpley pink that I don't love because they're different lengths. It was the first pair I did. I have decided that going forward I'm going to try to make penny gloves for every single sweater that I have left over yarn from, so that I have something that matches. And I actually happen to have leftover yarn, this Cardiff cashmere, from a test knit that I did last year for Valentina Bogdanova, or Valentina Knits. But I did pair it, and I did not pair that sweater with this, but I did pair it because I had bought some Brush Light by Cardiff Cashmere as well, which is a cashmere silk, kind of a mohair alternative. I had bought one ball of it to see if I liked it, see how it felt, etc., etc. Boy, do I like it. It is pretty paired with this cashmere. It is super soft, but it is starting to peel even just by me touching it and playing around with it. So I don't know that this would be feasible to do, not just cost-wise, but also peel-wise. I don't want to spend all of my time peeling my sweater before I can wear it. So I don't know that I ever will do a full sweater holding these two together, but boy, this is a luxurious pair of gloves, and I will happily wear them this winter. Other than that, I don't have anything that's finished. I do have a lot of things that I'm working on. I still have a ton of whips. I'm not going to show you every whip that I have every week unless I've made pretty significant progress on it. Then I will, in fact, show an update on the whip that I'm working on. And we will start with the Sorrel by Wool & Pines. And this is using yarn that is hand-dyed yarn from Sweet Skeins, which is my local yarn shop. She dyes yarn, and I had it inside out, so let me get it right side out and it'll look much better. And this I have gotten split for sleeves. I held Letha's hand-dyed yarn together with Knitting for Olive in the color Cherry Blossom, and it's just making this beautiful, beautiful fabric. And I will show you how it fits. It's just, let me get stuck there. It's just absolutely stunning. The color, the drape, everything. And you can see I've got it, you know, just past the bust area, so it shouldn't take me much longer to get the body finished, and then I'll add the sleeves. This is going to be the long sleeve version, so this is the Sorrel where you hold the fingering and the mohair together, and it is a long sleeve winter version. Now I have decided to do something. There's a couple of things I've done, or actually really only one thing I've done. In the pattern, it tells you to switch it and knit it inside out so that you can knit in the round. I started doing that. There's a couple of things about this. When it tells you to do that, it just tells you to turn and then move your stitch from one needle to the other. It doesn't tell you to make a double stitch, which you absolutely should. I did not. I followed the pattern exactly. even though I had this little thing in the back of my mind going, oh, you should probably make a double stitch. Why doesn't it tell you to make a double stitch? But I thought, hey, maybe it's something I don't know. I should have made a double stitch. There's a little bit of, I mean, you can see here, I've got kind of a long stitch here and there's a little bit of a gap. And I don't love that. So I wish I'd made a double stitch so that I wouldn't have a little bit of a gap there. And then I decided, because knitting it inside out while knitting in the round is great and it does go fast, this is reverse stockinette, so if I hold it right side facing me, that means that I'm purling everything. I turned it after a few rounds and decided that I would in fact purl all of this for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is because I don't mind purling. I think you should purl. I think if you really don't want to row out on purl sides and you don't want to have to mess with using a different size needle with interchangeable needles, or if you're using fixed needles, then you've got to remember every time that you purl that you've got to switch needle sizes. If you don't want to mess with all of that, purl, people. Practice purling. Because what it will do is it will help your tension. As you get better and better and better at purling, you won't row out. So I don't mind purling. I think that there's a lot of value in it. So I decided to turn it around and purl. And then the other reason I decided to do this was, one of the things that I noticed was sometimes when you hold two yarns, you won't grab both of them when you're knitting away. And I actually have one on here, if I can find it real quick, where I have done that. I've actually only knitted the mohair. Those are really easy to find when you're knitting because they show up as kind of a little hole, because a lace weight with no fingering weight, you're going to really notice that. But I noticed that one of the things I was doing, and here it is. I'm going to hold this, see if I can show you. Okay, I'm going to hold it down, try to get it in the frame. I don't know if you'll really be able to see that, but it's this stitch right here. And I just caught the mohair. Well, you notice that on either side. But what I did notice was I wasn't catching the mohair. I was just catching the fingering. And so I turned it around to look at it from what is going to be the right side, the reverse stockinette. And I noticed I had several places where I had mohair along there that had not been caught, so I had to go and fix it. I decided, for my sanity and not having to try to figure all that out, that I would just go ahead and purl. That way I will see it immediately as I'm purling. I'll see if I have not caught the mohair, or at least maybe a row or two down to where that I can see, hey, I've got some mohair that's stranded there and it shouldn't be. And I'll be able to fix that quicker instead of getting to the end of the sweater and then turning it around and noticing all this stuff. And then I'm having to rip it back because I am not going to wear it maybe one place, but I had like 3 or 4. I'm not wearing it like that. So I did decide I'm going to just purl it, and we'll see how that goes. Next time I may tell you, oh my gosh, I got so tired of purling that I turned it around, but I don't think so. I really don't mind purling. So here it is again, the Sorrel from Woolen Pine is the designer, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful pattern. I do have it in the Summer Sorrel, which is a fingering weight held alone, and I have worn that on a couple of the podcasts. All right, so that is my first one. And so what did I say last episode? I said if I got that split for sleeves, that I would cast on my Zuri sweater, my Zuri pullover, and I did. And then I put it down so that I could show y'all some things with it. All I did was do my ribbing with a folded collar. I did do a provisional cast on because, as I have shared in the past, I am not good at sewing it down without winding up with the slant, without winding up with the bias. And I don't like that. I want it to look right. So I do a provisional cast on, and then whenever it tells me to sew it down, I just put those stitches on another needle and I knit the two together, and that creates this folded collar, and then I don't have the bias. Now, I did the collar, and then I did the short rows, and that's all I've done. And the reason I stopped there is I wanted to show you with short rows. You can see this is the back, and this is the front. And look at how much more fabric is back here than there is down here. Now there's a little bit more in the front because I did choose to do one extra repeat. What she has you do is there's like, it's a 5-row repeat for the short rows, and you knit, and then you, or purl, whichever one it is, and then you go a certain number of stitches past the last one. And so you repeat the 2 rows in the middle. Like there's a setup row, there's, you know, 2 rows that you repeat, and then there's one where you go through, but you wouldn't do that on the last one because that would be your, I'm starting to knit in the round. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to give away a whole lot because it is a paid pattern, but I decided that I was going to go ahead and do extras of the two rows that you repeat, because I do like a little higher in the back. And the way that I found this out was I knitted a PetitKnit Monday sweater, probably my favorite sweater in the world. I wear it all the time for everything, and it's black. I read the pattern wrong. And there is an 8-row, there's 8 rows of short rows, and then you repeat a couple of them several times. I read it that you did the 8 rows, and then you repeated the 8 rows, and then you repeated those last 2 rows a few times. So I wound up with significantly more short rows than I was supposed to have, but I really liked how it fit. So I made another one, but I followed it exactly, and I did the short rows exactly as it said. I liked the fit of the black one better, so when I made my 3rd one, I did do the extra short rows. And so now I'm going to do that with every Monday sweater because I like it. Well, I decided, and this is my fault, I did not read, I did not calculate before I got there. I decided I'd do it again, you know, and I was going to do a couple of extra repeats, but because I didn't look and I didn't do any calculations or anything else, I didn't change how many I went past. So what I wound up with was right here in the front, you can see I have the double stitches are right next to each other. It's not a big problem. I'm just going to go around and resolve them. But normally you would have at least 1 stitch in between there. And I'm okay with them being next to each other. I would have just changed it up to where that I did fewer past the last one so that I could do maybe another round. It's neither here nor there. I'm not ripping it out and redoing it. But it did make, and I'll put this on. I know this looks really small, but it really does fit. I don't mind a close-fitting collar. I don't want it to choke me, and it's not. I do wish I had a little bit more fabric back there, but as I get on sleeves and stuff like that, this will come down naturally, so it will be a little bit looser. I just love this color, and I also love this pattern. It is turning out really beautiful, and I did leave things in. One of the things you'll notice, you know, I said I have these 2 double stitches, and you're like, why do you have these little markers? I am the world's worst about missing the double stitch, or I'll just knit it together as I'm going, and then I lose where it was, and so I need to knit so many past it, and now I've got to figure out where it was. So I just simply slip a bulb marker into the double stitch, catching all of it that I need to knit together, so that that's my cue whenever I get back around to it. I need to resolve it, either purl or knit. It doesn't matter. I just know that that is what I need to do. Now, one other thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to bring this up. You can see, let's see if I can get it to come in a little bit better. There is a cable right there. And it is in the raglan. There's a cable all the way down the raglan. It's absolutely beautiful. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and I was going to do a knit and chat, but I really didn't have enough to do a knit and chat. It would have wound up being a 5-minute video, and I really didn't want to do that, and decided that it would really add more value to my podcast if I would include these little tips and tricks in the podcast itself. So what do you need in order to do cables? There are tools, and there are several different types of tools, and they come in plastic, they come in metal, and they come in wooden. I have them kind of spanning along the different ones. I have plastic ones, I have metal ones, I don't know that I have any wooden ones because those are usually a little bit more expensive, because you'll find those where people have made them out of rosewood and stuff like that. They're beautiful, but I lose my tools so much that I don't really want to spend a lot of money on tools. So there are things called cable needles. You can absolutely get away with using a straight, like a double pointed needle with this and just use it. I like to use a tool that's made for it because I found whenever I was trying to use my double point needles, my stitches would fall off. That's not true for everyone. I choose to use tools. And so I've tried out all of the different ones, and I did take a cable class at Yarnivore whenever I lived in San Antonio, and she went over, or this may have been part of the Simon Babek. Anyway, I know she went over the different tools, and I figured out what I liked and what I didn't. This was what I thought would be my preferred. And I'm really having trouble getting this in screen because I don't know where my camera is apparently. This is, I don't even know what you would call it. I've just seen it called a cable needle. And it has a little dip here to where if you were to, and I'm just going to grab some yarn real quick just to show this. If you were to do cables and you pull it off onto the cable needle, you'll see how that would sit there, so when you drop it, it's not just going to drop off the back. These plastic ones come usually in a little kit where they will have, either they'll have 2 of these and there's this size and there's one smaller, or they'll have 4 and they'll have this size and one smaller, and then they'll also have this one, which is also known as a shepherd's hook needle cable, or cable needle. And these come in this size and smaller as well. And then you can see the same thing. You can just let it hang and it doesn't fall off the needle. I liked these for years. And my preferred was the shepherd's hook. Then my best friend Michelle, she sent me a video of someone using what could be used as a shawl pin as a cable needle. And it's this little spiral, and how this works is you pull it off and then you let it dangle. It stays on there. You knit however many stitches you're supposed to knit, and then you put them back on and knit them off. Well, I went to the Etsy shop or wherever it was that the video was from, and I looked, and this thing was like $40. I'm not doing that. I'm not spending $40 on a tool. That's a couple of balls of yarn. Well, more than that if you're not buying hand dyed. But hand dyed, that's a couple of balls of yarn. So I decided I wasn't going to have one of these. And later that year I wound up on my yearly trip to Boston. We were in a yarn store and I saw this, and it was, I don't know, $6 or $7. A lot less than 40 anyway. And I bought one. And since then I've bought a second one as well to keep, because I have a little pouch that I keep tools in, like a stitch corrector, you know, to pick up stitches, a fix-it tool, otherwise known as fix-it tool. I keep one of these in there. I keep eyeglass cleaner. I keep just an assortment of things in this little pouch that stays in my knitting bag. So when I go to the shop, I have a duplicate of everything and I don't have to worry about taking it from here. So I do have 2 of these, but this is my preferred method now. I think my tension is fantastic whenever I use this. Some of you may be sitting there going, yeah, but you know, I don't want to use any tool. Well, you don't have to. There is absolutely a way that you can do cabling. I'm not going to show you how to do it because I'm not the best at it. And also there's a ton of tutorials out there. I know Fruity Knitting has one. I forget who else. There's several people who have the cabling without a cable needle tutorials in their podcast or as a separate video. I do that sometimes, and I will probably do that on one of the ones that I am working on a test knit because I did it on the large one. And it worked out well. If I'm doing it and I can keep my tension based on the yarn, etc., then I will do that. Some yarn, it's just slippery enough that I really need it to be on a needle for tension and so that it doesn't drop down and I'm not having to pick up stitches. I decide based on my project whether I'm going to use a cable needle or not. Lately it's been yes, because I do really like the tension that I get whenever I use the cable needle. I just think for me personally it's better. So if you're going to invest, I would tell you, if you're going to go out and buy tools, I would probably go buy a kit that has these in it, either plastic or metal. I do prefer metal. I don't like the plastic as much, but I couldn't find my metal ones, right? Like I said, I lose tools all the time. That's why I'm not going to spend a ton of money on them. But I would get these to start out with and see if you like using a cable needle, first of all. And if you really do, then if you say, oh, I might like this as well, you can find it at yarn shops. So you might have to look around if your local yarn shop doesn't have it, or maybe they can order it in for you. I don't know where it would be from, but I do get these at yarn shops, and they're not $40. So that is what I would recommend that you do if you want to go into cabling, or if you're like, you know what, I've only used this one type and I'm not happy with it, I want to try some other ones. Go and play around. All right, so that's got two things that I've made fairly significant progress on. Obviously, I got that split for sleeves. I cast this one on. This didn't even exist last week, so that's some pretty significant progress. Another thing that didn't exist last week is, because we just got the pattern for the test knit for the Little Forest of Arda, the child's version. I shared last week the adult version that I had actually made. And I am making a size 2, so it's going to be for a little toddler, because Mimi here, if I ever get some grandbabies or even a granddaughter that I can just claim, that I can just take, not take, you know what I mean, that, you know, if one of my kids' friends has one and I can grandma her, I will give this to them and then she can match Mimi. But I am making this, and this didn't exist last week either. And so far I've gotten the back done, and then I've picked up for the left sleeve. I've done a little bit of short row, and I've knitted a couple of rows here, and then now I'll start shaping like the neckline and stuff like that. Then I'll pick up the right. So by next week, who knows? This may actually be off the needles by next week because it is small. Look at this. Look how little bitty this is. It's going to go really fast. So it may be off the needles next week, or at least I will have made significant progress on it. One more thing that did not exist last week, and I showed you the yarn for it in my acquisitions video, and that is the test knit for the Elk Ridge pullover, or Elk Ridge sweater, I think is what it's actually called. I now have the body cast on. It is a bottom up, and I put it off on these try-on needles or cords because I want to show you how you can in fact try on a bottom up. But she has you start with the sleeves. So last week in the acquisitions video, I just started the cuff of one sleeve. I have 2 sleeves now, and I'm gonna put them on. Feel like I'm putting on wings or something, and I'm gonna fly. But here we go. I have my sleeves. So I have 2 sleeves, and honestly it's a little cool today because it is 66 degrees outside right now. We're having a really dreary day. It's really rainy and it's a little chilly in here, so I'm kind of glad to put these on. But with this, then I can also, and I'm going to stand up and show you, I'm going to get this down here, how I would try it on, right? I will get this about where I want this to hit, and you can see, I can tell that, okay, this is going to fit well. It's not humongous. It's not so tight that I'm dying. So I know this will be a nice fit, and I will continue to try it on as I go. I know what my measurement is, but I will still continue. Now I'm going to step out of this because it's easier than pulling it back over my head. So I have started. I've just got a little bit of the ribbing done, and this is in Let Loopy, and it is chocolate brown, and ash is the kind of white color, and then the dark color, which is kind of hard to see, but you can see it there. It'll be much more prominent because it'll be the elk heads up here, but you can see it a little bit. Let me get a little closer. You can just see there's a slight color difference. That is called Black Sheep. All right. So I've made significant progress on this. It probably won't be done next week, but within the next few weeks I will get that done and over with. And then that is it as far as what I've made really significant progress on. Sorry that I'm looking down. I am trying to move some things here. One of the things that I forgot to say, I told you who the Sorrel was by, which was by Woolen Pine. And I'm going to start something new So you'll see this. You will have already seen it because I'll have already done it. I'm going to put up on like the bottom corner the name of the pattern and the name of the yarn that I'm using. May or may not have colorways. It depends on how much I can fit in there and that it will show up. But I'm going to put that down there. But the Zuri sweater is by Toque Knits. I told you what the penny gloves was by PetitKnit. The Forest of Arda, and I'm looking down because I've set them in the floor. Sorry about that. I'm going to stop doing that because it irritates me when people do it. The Forest of Arda, the small one, that's by Melanie Rountree. And the Elk Ridge is by Amanda Roush. I'm just going to look down real quick because that is all that I had. And then the other thing that I've been working on, I've been swatching because, as I told you, don't believe me if I tell you I'm not going to do any test knits because I lie. I have another test knit that I signed up for. And it is called the Lucid Tee. And this one I will put a picture up because y'all have never seen this before. And I don't have anything to show you that I'm working on. I did get her permission. And it's by Turquoise Toque Designs. She's got some really stunning patterns out there. And this one's just a really nice, elegant, classic sweater. It's a little ribbed, so I like that look. And I'm going to do it, it's a sport weight, so I'm going to do it in alpaca. And this is Drops Alpaca in turquoise. I may or may not do it in turquoise. I do have enough coming for turquoise. But I also have a gray coming that I might like better. And if I can't get gauge with this, I do have this really pretty, I've got some green, but I think that I've also got a really pretty like pink color sport from Onling that I will use. And I will link all of this stuff down below as well, besides just putting things up here. So I've been doing that. I also was using this ball because I didn't have plans for it. And now, like I said, I have recklessly spent trying to beat the tariffs. I'm not going to even talk about how I feel about tariffs or anything else. I just recklessly spent buying some to try to get some yarn before I had to pay duties and fees. So I already had this, and as I was swatching with it, because I was swatching for the Fiola to see if I got gauge with the size 5 needles. As I was swatching, I really liked this color, so I decided I'd order a sweater quantity and then decided that I'd probably use that for the Lucid sweater. And one thing that I have done, this is a tip that I saw in somebody else's podcast, that they do whenever you can see here I have yarn overs, so I have holes. When they do swatches, they put a yarn over for every, for the sizes. This has 5 down here. Up here has 4. Because the size 5 for the Fiola, I believe the gauge is like 21 stitches. And the gauge on a size 5 for the Lucid is a 24. I'm obviously not going to make gauge on both of those. And I'm not even getting 24 unblocked on this. So I don't think I'm going to make that 24 on the size 5. So I went down to a 4, and then I plan on going down to a 3 as well. And I may have to swatch on a 6 as well to see if I get the Fiola. But I think I'll get the 21 stitch gauge on this this size 5. So I've been swatching on that. That's taken a little bit of time. I mean, it's not a project, but it is something that I've been working on. Other than that, I have worked on the girls' dresses a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I think I've done 10 rows on each one. I haven't done a whole lot. And I've worked a few rows on my brother's sweater. I don't think I've really worked on anything else because I'm really trying to focus on the test knits and get those done, because I want to make sure I have plenty of time. I have until the middle of the middle or the end of October, and then I think the Toque, not the Toque, but the Turquoise Toque, the Lucid, I believe that might be like the 1st of November. So I have plenty of time, but I don't like being rushed. I don't like feeling like I'm rushed, so I want to get those out of the way. And with that, I don't have anything else that I'm working on, so I'm going to switch over to acquisitions and plans. And if you are leaving me now, then thank you very much for spending the time with me. If you want to see more of me, please like, subscribe, comment, etc. Which also brings me to, I forgot to ask this. I did have a question already because I'm asking a question every week, and so far it's all been about yarn. I've asked what your fantasy yarn is, what your favorite yarn is. I've asked about knitting in weird places. Today I really want to know, what's your favorite weight of yarn? My favorite weight of yarn is fingering weight. I don't know why, but every time I start a fingering weight project and I pick it up and I start working on it, especially if I've been working on DK or worsted or anything else, I'm just like, oh, it feels so good to knit this. So my favorite weight is fingering weight. What's your favorite weight of yarn? All right, and with that, I am going to switch into acquisitions and plans, and then I will switch to my personal. So if you don't want the acquisitions, but you want the personal, you know how to go forward and watch the personal. But this is going to be my acquisitions, and I will be bending down a little bit because I have it down here. I'm going to move it all up here real quick. I want to tell y'all, as I said, I've done some reckless buying, and now I have a little bit of buyer's remorse on some of it because I think I bought some stuff that, while I had a plan in my mind when I bought it, I don't now know what that plan was, and I'm not sure I agree with that plan. We'll see what happens. If nothing else, if I really decide that I just don't want the yarn anymore, I'll destash it. I'll find somebody that will buy it from me. I got it for a really good price, so. But we'll start out, I guess I'm trying to think of the first one that I got. I guess I got a Holst garn first this week, and it was simply these two colors in Lucia. And the Lucia is the yak wool, silk, and alpaca together. And let me tell you, it is a mohair alternative. It is the same gauge. It is 200 meters for 25 grams. So it's gauge or yardage wise is the word I'm looking for, meterage. It is the same or right around the same as a mohair. I think it is a little bit thicker because the fiber is a little bit thicker than a mohair, but I love how it knits up. It's just beautiful. And I am going to use, not sure, and I'll show you the other ones in a minute, but I'm going to use probably one of these two colors held double to make the Stockholm V-neck sweater. I think that's the right, if it's not, I'll put it up here, but it's by PetitKnit. And she has it in a red, she holds mohair together, I believe. And I don't want to hold mohair together. I would rather hold something, what I consider a little bit softer, and this is super soft. I was originally going to use Fiber Spates Cumulus and hold it double, but it's about 3 times the cost of this with the sale that they had going on. And I did do a swatch with some of this that I have here already, and I held it double, and I really like the way that the fabric knitted up and just how it looks. Most likely it'll be one of these two colors. However, I have a couple of others. Holst garn, this was my last one too, and I'll go ahead and show you. I wasn't smart enough to make just one order. I ordered and then I went, oh, I should have ordered this other stuff. So I paid shipping twice. Whatever. Reckless spending, as I said. But I have this color, which is, it is kind of a dark dusty blue. I don't know that I want, honestly, I don't know why I bought this. I bought this, well, I do know why I bought it. I bought it because it says that it goes with Nightshade, which is the tides that I'm making my brother's sweater out of. And I think that would be pretty, and I will swatch with it and see if I like how it knits up with that afterwards, and if so, I'll make myself a sweater. If not, this one may be one of those that I destash, and I have 10 balls of each one of these. I could do that. Probably won't do that color. Then I have some alpaca. I have this purple, and then I have this blue. I could hold these alpacas double as well and make one of those, but I really think, and this is where I want y'all's opinion, I really think I should do one of these two. But if you don't agree with me, let me know. All right, so please drop a comment and tell me which color you think I should use to make the Stockholm V-neck. I'm leaning kind of towards the green because I don't really have anything green. I do like the red. And who knows, maybe it becomes a duplicate knit. Maybe it does become one of those things that I knit more than one. We'll see. So I did buy all of this. And then, as I said, I got a whole skein thing today. So I bought some cones because they have some cones on sale that I've really been wanting to get. This is aubergine and it's super soft. All three of these are super soft. It says that these two go together. I'm not sure that I agree that these two go together. I didn't buy this to go with this. It's just a happy coincidence that they say it's a perfect match. I'm not so sure. We'll see. Maybe I will, you know, swatch with it or whatever. Maybe not. But I've been lusting after aubergine for a while now. So I did get the aubergine whenever it went on sale. And then I got, this is Mariner. Just beautiful blue. And it says that this goes with this. Again, not really sure. This one I really do want to swatch with because I think that it might marl up really beautiful. We'll see. But this, I've been wanting this. I have one fairly similar in Coast called J, but I've really been wanting to get this to pair it with that bleached white that I have to do some kind of color work because that will just be stunning. I love a good navy blue and white. And then finally, I got this one, which I'm trying to get it up here so you can see because it looks very like lilac-y, but it's really not. It is more heathery. It's got some blue in it. Let me again see if I can get it up there. You can kind of see it's got some blue and it's got some pink. And so it is much more heathery than what it looks whenever you hold it way back here. And it's just this beautiful heathery purple, blue, pink. Like as I'm sitting here looking at it, I can see all of those colors. So I got those. That's my whole skein. And then I got some stuff from Lindy Hobby. Again, reckless spending. But these two I really do have solid plans for. This was not a, oh, I should buy this, because when I was deciding what color I was going to do that Janaludi, I had pretty much all my cones out. And I had one ball of this. This is Hannah by Perman. And it's a merino silk and cashmere blend. And it is, again, a mohair alternative. Well, I had one ball of this, and it fell off my couch. And it landed next to a pink super soft cone that I have. Those were made in heaven. That was a match made in heaven. There is no question, because it went perfect with that cone. So I did a swatch, and it is so beautiful. I want to make something out of it. Most likely a cable, but maybe not. Textured. It will be something textured. And so I got more, I got more of these to where that I had a sweater quantity of them to go with that. And then I also bought this biking garn. This is Alpaca Breeze, and it's a silvery color. I forget the name of it, but it's color number 313. This is going to be a series sweater by Lynette. And I found this, again, by using those yarn ideas. I went through because she holds, I want to say maybe a DK and a mohair. I don't remember exactly what she holds together. She does hold two yarns together. And I was looking through because I didn't really have anything. And I was just looking through to get some ideas about, okay, do I have anything in my stash that I can use? And I did have some of this in a different color. And so when I saw somebody had done theirs in this, and they used a cream color, and it was just stunning. Just stunning. And it was the only yarn. They didn't hold anything with it. It was just this. I grabbed the one that I had, and I did the swatch, the gauge swatch that it recommended. It knitted up so pretty, and it is so soft. I didn't want it in that color. It's a red, and then the cord in that red is black, so it was a little darker. I wanted it in a lighter color, and I really love this silver. I think this silver looks really good on me with my hair. So I wanted one in this color. Went ahead and got a sweater quantity of this as well. And one of the good things about Rito and Lindy Hobby is that they have a, I won't say bulk, but it's a quantity discount. So if you order so many, you get, you know, if you order 1 to 5, I think it is, you get one price. 5 to something else, you get one price. They have like 3 or 4 different tiers. And so I was able to get this at about 20% off of what it would have been had I bought one ball. So I did get a nice little discount because I bought a sweater quantity. And then finally, last but not least, this is Wool Warehouse that I ordered this from. And I have 2 sweaters. This turquoise is going to be the Brady Loop sweater by Other Loops. I saw somebody's podcast that did their Brady Loop sweater in this. This is West Yorkshire Spinners Fleece Blue-Faced Leicester. I saw somebody that did this, and it was kind of in a chartreuse color, that kind of greenish color. At least that's what it looked like on the screen. It was so pretty. So I went out to Wool Warehouse and I bought that color, and then I bought 3 other colors because I wanted to see them in person, because, you know, it's hard sometimes to tell what something looks like online. And I knew that this, I would be able to destash it, because buying it at Wool Warehouse, I got it for less than I could get it in the United States. So if I sold it at what I paid for it, then that would be great, and somebody would be getting a great deal. So I decided I would go ahead and check those out, and I wound up with these 2 colors that I really, really liked. And this one is going to be the Brady Loop cardigan, or not cardigan, I'm doing the pullover, the Brady Loop pullover. And then this one is going to be, it's called Constanzini, I think is how you say it. And it is out of the Knitter magazine. I don't remember who the designer is. I'll put that up here. But it's going to be that. And it actually is one in, I have a subscription to the Knitter, both. I get it through my Amazon Prime benefits, Prime Reading, or Kindle Unlimited. It's Kindle Unlimited. You get magazines with that. And so I get the Knitter there. And then I also have a physical subscription, which is hit or miss because our post office is horrible and I don't get it most of the time. But I do get them on my Amazon, and I figured out how I can print them off. So I printed off this pattern, and it was created for this yarn. And I got this pink to do it. It's really pretty. It's just lightly textured. It's just a really pretty sweater. So that's my acquisitions for so far this week. I do have some more stuff coming, so I'll have more next week. But then I am going to go on a bit of a stoppage. I'm not going to be buying a lot of stuff because, for multiple reasons, I need to see whenever I start my new job what my money's going to look like. But also because I'm starting to run out of room. And you'll see that I'm hoping next week. Cameron has been after me for a while to move where I film this podcast. Right now I'm in my bedroom and I'm sitting on this little, it's like a little hammock, or not hammock, a hassock. And Michelle and Jason gave it to me. They had it in their bedroom at the foot of their bed, and I don't remember exactly what happened. They couldn't get something. They wound up, anyway, they didn't want it, and they gave it to me, and it's a nice place to sit, but I don't have anything in my background, right? It's kind of beige and boring. Well, if I go to my craft room, I have a wall of yarn behind me that's colorful and beautiful. So Cameron's been after me for a while to move in there, that I really need to go in there. And I do. I just need to move some things around because this hassock is pretty big. So it's not tiny. I'm not going to be able to just set it in there. I'm going to need to clear some space out for it. And I'll need somewhere that I can move it whenever I'm not using it so that I can get in the room. So I'm going to try to do that this weekend. We do all, at least in the US, we have a 3-day weekend. And I am now going to, I'm going to switch now to the personal stuff because I am slated to start my new job on the 2nd. We'll see. I haven't gotten a definitive, I don't have a laptop yet from the company, and I haven't gotten a definitive, yes, that's when you're going to start. It may be the following week. That's sometimes how it works with contract jobs. I'm okay with that. If I get an extra week, I'm not going to be that upset. If it goes anything past that, then I'm probably going to start putting some feelers out and start talking probably to my recruiter about, hey, you have this other job as well. I don't really want that other job. It is more money, significantly more. However, it would require me to be in Dallas 3 days a week. And I don't know that I want to travel to Dallas 3 days a week. I will do whatever I have to do. And there's no guarantee, of course, that I would get that job. They might not like me. And Raza may very well say, I can't do that because you're already committed to this company. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So with that, this week, there's not been anything super exciting. I had dinner. Cameron and I went to dinner with Michelle and her family last night. Her mom and aunt are in town visiting. And so I got to see them and visit with them, which was really nice. We had a really nice meal. There's a place here called Matinee Inn. And they have some of the best fried chicken I've ever put in my mouth. But they have one thing. And this is a case of do one thing and do it well. When you walk in, you get chicken. You get chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, green beans, coleslaw, bread with butter and apple butter. And I think that may be it. They have added some stuff though, because they told us this last night. They've added macaroni and cheese and they've added chicken tenders for people who don't like chicken on the bone. We didn't choose to do that because it is a little upcharge. We didn't choose to do that. I'll do that whenever my brother comes in because he doesn't like chicken on the bones. So we'll go out there though now that they have it off the bone and we'll do that so that he can try Matinee Inn. They are delicious, but you get that. That is what you get. And it is all you can eat, but that is what you get. They do not have other choices. They obviously have choices for drinks, and then they do have dessert. That is not included in the price. That is extra, but they do have several desserts. They are delicious, and they are always packed. Even when you go on a weeknight, you need a reservation. And if you're going on a Friday or Saturday night, you better have a reservation several weeks in advance. And if you're coming up for a craft fair season, because we have a couple of really big craft fairs in October and April, you better have a reservation 6 months to a year in advance because it is insane how busy they are, but they're delicious. I've spent a lot of time at the yarn shop. I've been just hanging out and socially knitting. And then this week has been cool. We had a cool down and it's raining today. As I said, it's 66 degrees. It's been a little chilly. Not chilly enough to bring out my sweaters, but it has been a little chilly. So it's a little dreary. Good days to sit and knit. That's pretty much all I've been doing is knitting, puttering around. Not really doing a whole lot. So I don't have anything exciting that's happened. Nothing good, nothing bad. Life's okay. All right. So if you have stuck it out with me through this whole thing, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me because you do have a plethora of choices out there that you can choose from that is not me. So I appreciate the fact that you have spent about the last 45 minutes with me. And again, if you'd like to see more, please like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what your favorite yarn is and what color you think that I should make that Stockholm V-neck sweater out of. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.